and Auburn family, we are back with another great edition of Building Rapport. Today we have a special guest. Joining us is brand new coach to the Flames, Corey Williams. Corey, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Well, Coach, I want to get the interview kicked off talking a little bit about your background. You're a former NBA player, and not only are you an NBA player, but you played on the championship 1993 Chicago Bulls. Tell us what it was like playing on a team, an iconic team. Now, I mean, they ultimately went on to win 6 championships, in that stretch. But you were in a championship season on the end of the first three-peat. Talk about that experience for us a little.
But first of all, you got to think about Michael Jordan was my favorite basketball player in the world, and all of a sudden I get drafted, and I'm going to have an opportunity to play with Michael Jordan. And I'll never forget when I first got there, he looked at me. He said, "Pee-wee." By that time, they gave me the nickname Pee-wee. I didn't like it, but Michael Jordan was calling me Pee-wee, so I had to accept it. Pee-wee, he said, "We're going to win you a championship." I said, "Okay." And next thing I know, he's in front of the podium. He's thanking everybody, and the first name he mentioned was my name. He said, "I want to thank everybody from Corey Williams on down for winning this championship." And I thought that was very important. Even though I didn't didn't play a lot of minutes, but he thought enough to mention me as a very important part of that basketball team. So it was a blessing, and certainly to watch what I consider the GOAT, the real GOAT.
He is the real. You got that. Listen, we've had this debate on our channel already. Now. I'm not going too far into it.
Young guys, they kill me. And I don't want to take anything away from LeBron James. He is a fantastic basketball player, but he's not Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is different. He's a killer.
Speaking of being different, you see a lot of stories about what it's like playing and practicing and being a teammate of Michael Jordan. How true are the stories we hear about the intensity of playing with them? I mean, for what we've heard, if you weren't doing what you're supposed to do, he might punch you in the face. Was it like that?
Well, the intensity certainly was there, but the thing I probably disagree with most people, I think they've taken a selected few events that happen in practice. And remember now, we're like family. We're like brothers. And anybody who has a brother or sister understand that altercations are going to happen.
Sure.
But they made it seem like they were often. I can honestly say when I played with him in 92, 93, we had no such incident. Now, he's ultra competitive. He competes at a high level. He hates to lose. He wins at all costs. Not playing dirty. He doesn't do those things, but he wants to win. And I just think, if I'm going to build a basketball team in the NBA, college, or anything, anywhere, I would want to build it with a guy like Michael Jordan, who I know is going to give you everything he has. He's going to compete at a high level, and he has his will to refuse to lose. That's what makes him special. And I watched a lot of basketball players in past, but he is different in his mentality and his mindset. He believes he's the best, and he did not want anybody to take that away from him.
All right, Coach Williams, you move on after that. Well, actually, before we get into your coaching days, I just gotta football. How did you even end up a draftee for the Kansas City Chiefs? Like you didn't play football in college. Like what was that entire process like? Did you want to potentially be a two-sport guy? Like, what was that about?
Here's a great story. True story.
Okay.
At Oklahoma State University, I'm asleep this particular day. I get my brother in strict instruction. I don't care who calls. I'm not in. The phone rings. The guy says, "May I speak to Corey Williams?" He says, "He's not in right now. May I take a message?" He said, "Yes, this is Marty Schottenheimer of the Kansas City Chiefs NFL football team." My brother paused. He said, "Hold on a minute." He wakes me up. I get on the phone with him. He said, "What do you think about football?" I said, "Well, if I had the opportunity to play, I would love to play." He said, "Stay by the phone." He calls back. He said, "We're going to draft you." I immediately get off the phone with him. I call my mom. I said, "Mom, you're not going to believe this." I said, "But turn the TV on ESPN. I'm fixing to get drafted in the NFL by the Kansas City Chiefs." She paused. She said, "Boy, stop lying. You ain't playing no football." I said, "No, I'm telling you, I'm finna get drafted." It comes across the screen. Corey Williams, Oklahoma State, Kansas City Chiefs.
Right.
Now, that particular year, our football team went 0-10-1. And so when people would ask me, how good is your football team? What was their record? I would say, 10-1. So it sounded like it was pretty good. The other thing that happened was nobody on the football team got drafted.
Right.
I was the only one to get drafted.
Mm.
And I try to relate this stuff spiritually because I'm a spiritual-minded person. And the Bible says a man gift will make room for him.
Right.
And I didn't play football, but God blessed me with speed, quickness, and I always was respectful to people. And so when people evaluated me and went back and asked people about who I was as a person, I've always gave respect to other people. And so therefore they said great things about me, and I was gifted. God blessed me with this gift, and I want to utilize what he has given me to honor and glorify his name. So that's how that all took place. A man's gift makes room for him.
Yes. What position were they gonna have you play?
They drafted me as a defensive back when they wanted to tie me in the 40-yard dash. First time I ran it, I didn't understand what they were doing, but they huddled up. Then they said, Mr. Williams, can you run it one more time? I ran it again. Well, they tied me at a 4.28 in the 40-yard dash. And so I used to always tell my wife, I said, if my son doesn't run a 4.28 or less, he's not my son. He's a good
So you and Trey Donaldson have some commonality amongst the football and basketball type guys. Then he plays DB and point guard, just like you. So have you guys had an opportunity to kind of relate over that two-sport kind of situation?
Trey is unique in that, Trey, when he was young, I was at Florida State, and he would come over to our house a little bit. So we knew each other.
Oh,
so
I didn't know you guys had that
about
relationship.
me, before I got here. And so we have a previous relationship because of the AAU stuff with my son. And so yeah, me and Trey got something in common. Who would have thought back then that Trey would evolve to who he is? And I'm certainly glad to be a part of this family and to know Trey as well.
Awesome.
Coach, a man's gift will make way for him. And so has Auburn. Auburn has made room for you on the Plains. Talk about the transition a little bit from coaching, from playing to coaching, right? When did you decide that you wanted to be a coach and use that gift to help other young men develop their talent?
Well, I think I always knew I wanted to be a coach, okay? I just didn't know how long I would play basketball. I knew at the end of that tenure I would want to be a basketball coach, and I had some great mentors in my life, from Leonard Hamilton to Eddie Sutton to guys like Bill Self, Rob Evans, who instilled in me the right things as a player that I knew that I could take in being a head coach and an assistant coach. And so in 94, 95, I was fortunate enough to go back to Oklahoma State as a student assistant. We went to the Final Four. Big Country was on that team. And then it evolved from there. From me starting my career off at Oral Roberts, moving from Oral Roberts to Florida State, from Florida State, head coach at Stetson University, and then from Stetson going to University of Arkansas, Texas Tech, and now Auburn. But I always knew I had that in me to be a coach. I knew I could relate to kids, and I knew I had something to give in terms of what I've experienced as a basketball player, and I wanted to give back. And, we talked about it in Bible study today. In order to be served, you must first learn how to serve. Right. And so we want to give this stuff back to kids, and I wanted to always be a part of that transition from a player to giving it back and giving them understanding what it takes to be successful on a basketball level, but being successful in real life.
Coach, if you could tell your younger self one thing, give your younger self one piece of advice that you wish somebody had told you then, what would it be?
Take advantage of every day. Tomorrow is not promised. I used to hear that, and it sounded like a cliche.
Right.
But do your best to win the day. Every day matters. And not look at tomorrow, but concentrate on today. Make the best out of today. And then when tomorrow comes, make the best out of that next day. And I think you build a house, you put brick on top of brick on top of brick till it gets to a point where the good Lord is getting ready to take you home. So I would say take advantage of today.
Now, Coach Williams, you have battled your way back, I'll say, into the NBA more than once, right? So you got drafted Chicago, then you take a little detour to like was it a semi-pro league that you were playing in Oklahoma City? What was the experience like and the difference like just working your way through that process to get back to playing at Minnesota?
The CBA at that particular time would be equivalent to the G League now.
Right.
Boy, it's different. When you go on private planes and you have people wash your clothes and you can per diem every day in the NBA and you cater to your every need. And then you get to the CBA, the Oklahoma City Cavs, and you I'm like, who gonna wash the jersey? It's like, you are. You're gonna wash it. You're gonna have to wash your practice uniform. And so you became more self-sufficient in the CBA. And you realize, I think the beauty of going from the NBA to the CBA, man, you realize what it was on that other level. You're trying your best to get back to that. And
right.
So I was fortunate enough to get back with the Minnesota Timberwolves on a 10-day contract. And, but hey, it's two different worlds. And I would encourage anybody who gets drafted in the NBA, stay in the NBA as long as you can, because it will be a little bit of a culture shock when you go to the G League, which was the CBA at the time.
Did you ever consider going overseas and playing at all?
I did. I played overseas for 3 years in Taipei, Taiwan.
Okay.
And
I see the Daisen Tigers.
Yes,
I see that on here.
Yeah, Daishin Tigers.
Daishin, excuse me.
And they were, thrilled to have a guy who played in the NBA, and I was the next Michael Jordan. And I just was only problem with that is I was probably 5 inches shorter.
Yeah.
And didn't quite have the bounce that he had. But it was a great experience for me and my wife. I was married at the time. I took my wife over there, played some great basketball, met some unbelievable people. The greatest thing about playing overseas in Taipei, Taiwan was, we used to go to the movies quite a bit. And the movies were in English and in Chinese subtitles. So we watched American movies like, let's go to the movies. It's like being in America. So It was awesome. The food was good. And it was just a great experience for me and my family.
Awesome.
Coach, you're clearly a man of faith, and you got hired by a man of faith. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about how your faith has helped you as a player, as a man, and as a coach?
Well, one of the things I've always understood is that I wanted to, honor God in everything that I've attempted to do or try to do or want to do. And I certainly would be remiss if I told you that I'm here because of my talent, my skill, but it's because of God. He's opened up opportunity. He's touched some people that made a phone call that said some great things about me that allowed me to be in this position. And it's a good scripture in Proverbs 3 verse 5. It says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Lean not to your own understanding. Acknowledge me in all thine ways, and I will direct your path. And I've always prayed on any move or anything that I've done in my life. I've asked God for wisdom. He said, he who lacked wisdom, God would give generously without finding fault. And so I've always asked him for wisdom in anything that I do. And the other side of it is I wanted to always have a relationship with him. So when he spoke to me, I could hear him. God speaks by his word. He says, I'm not a man that I should lie, nor the son of man that I should repent. If I said it, it should come to pass. And so I've always relied on God, not man, because I knew that he could touch man in any position that they were in. So I've always trusted him in any decision and anything that I wanted to do. I wanted to be a college basketball player. He blessed me. I prayed about it. He blessed me to be a college basketball player. I wanted the opportunity to go to the NBA. He did more than that. He blessed me to get to the NBA, but he put me on the championship team in my first year. Then he gave me a gift. He gave me the Kansas City Chiefs, which I didn't even ask for, And so everything that I wanted to do, God has provided for me and my family. But now I will tell you unequivocally, without a shadow of a doubt, I trust him with all my heart and all my mind, my body, and soul. It ain't me. It's him working through me, and I'm grateful to that. And I'll always be grateful. And I'm not ashamed to tell the world who I believe in. I'm not ashamed.
Awesome.
Not ashamed of the gospel. Not ashamed of it.
Coach, time permitting, you think you'll have any inclination to work with Fellowship of Christian Athletes down there? When I was in school, I wasn't an athlete, but I went on a lot of trips with FCA. Are you able to work with them a little bit?
Oh yeah, I did it at Texas Tech. I did it when I was in college at Oklahoma State University. That's very important to me, and I think what I've seen since my son is here at Auburn is that he's picking up in terms of his faith. And so, oh yes, anytime anybody have anything spiritually that they want me to do, it ain't no price. I don't worry about that. I just want to honor God. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. I want to be a vessel, and I want to glorify Him with my ability and talents that He's given me, and I want to make sure I give that back and honor Him with it.
Have you had a chance to meet brother Chet yet?
Oh, I met so many people now.
Okay,
I can't remember, but I don't know if I met him or not. I won't say I haven't because I met so many people. But I'm looking forward to meeting him.
Yeah, he was a team chaplain while I was there, and I caught him at a football practice. I was like, Brother Chet, you've been here since like the 80s. I mean, he's like a staple in the athletic department. So I was just wondering if you had met him.
Yeah, I don't know if I met him yet. I hope to meet him though.
Okay, Coach, let's transition to talking about taking the job in Auburn. My next question is simple. Why Auburn? You worked with your last recent stops were Texas Tech and Arkansas. And those are two programs that have done well over the last, I would say, 5 years. Texas Tech obviously famously made it to national title game, a game a lot of people feel like Auburn would have won had it not been for one double dribble. And you'll probably hear about that a lot for fans on the Plains. And then an Arkansas team that's made some Elite Eights, and you've been a part of some recent coaching successes. Why Auburn, and what are you looking forward to accomplishing at Auburn?
When this opportunity came, I prayed about it, man. I prayed about where I wanted to be and who I wanted to coach with. And to be honest with you, I wanted to be with someone who I felt could win a national championship. That's what I want to be with. And Coach Pearl checked that box. And then I want to be with somebody who was a faith guy. Yeah. He's a faith guy. And so when I sat with him, it was over with in terms of where I wanted to be. And I expressed that to him. I want to be with you and work for you at Auburn. And it just so happened that Auburn in proximity is 2 hours away from my mom. Mm-hmm. Okay. An hour and 20 minutes from my dad. And my family lives in Macon, Georgia, and I'm closer to my family. I'm more closer to my family than I've ever been in my college career. And so, and then I looked at the history of Auburn, the guys that have played an important role in building Auburn basketball to what it is today, and what Coach Pearl has accomplished as a coach. And I want to be a part of this institution. Great school, great culture, great tradition, an unbelievable basketball coach and staff. You got Steve Pearl and Ira Bowman, and you got a supporting staff that are unbelievable people. And I wanted to be a part of that. Once I met Coach, it was over with. I knew that was the guy who I wanted to work for. And here again, it goes back to, I've been to the Final Four. He's been to a Final Four. I want to win a national championship. And I feel like this is the guy that is capable of doing that because he can coach. He has a special eye for talent. Like he can see kids and right off the bat, he's like, that kid's got a chance to be special. He's like, okay. And then next thing I know, a guy calling me about that kid saying, hey, man, some NBA guys like this kid. And I was like, oh, Coach Pearl said, A, B, C about that kid. So I'm excited to be a part of his team. And it was easy once I sat down with him and met with him and then met with the staff. It was easy choice for me.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about, the connection to being so close to home now for you, right? Like you said, your family's from Macon, Georgia. You grew up in the in Georgia, and what do you feel like it's going to be like being that close? Was that part of the selling point? Was hey, listen, I'm right down the road now from where I grew up.
Well, I think it was a caveat. I think all along, I mean, I got to work first. And I wanted to be with a guy who I feel like I said before, could win a national championship. And I think the caveat was, man, I'm close to home. Like I've already been home 4 times to see my mom. I haven't been home in 4 times in 1 year since I've been coaching. I've been coaching 25 years.
Wow.
And so that's just been a little bit, if I'm being honest, been overwhelming. To be able to call my mom and say, hey, I'm gonna drive down. Hey, you want to have lunch? I'll leave early in the morning. We can have lunch together.
Amazing.
And then I can be back Auburn that night. I'm telling you that for me, and I'm 53 years old, that is mind blowing because I haven't had a chance to do that. To go and see my dad preach on Sunday. Asked me to come down. I go drive to Atlanta, see him preach. And of course, I asked him, where do you want to go eat? Of all the places, he said, I want to go eat at Golden Corral. Nothing against Golden Corral. But that was the last place on my mind. So that's been truly a blessing. It's been a blessing for me because I missed a lot of those times going back and being able to see my mom and my dad. So I get a chance to make that up. So I am forever grateful for Coach Pearl for giving me this opportunity to be a part of his staff and yet to be closer to my family.
As somebody who moved home recently, I can tell you, I can definitely relate. After college, I lived on the other side of the country for most of my adult working career. I turned 40 next month. And when I came back to the area, I felt the same thing. Like it resonated with me when you said that. Being able to be close to home, do projects with my dad, hang out with my mom whenever I wanted. It is definitely a blessing to be close to family, and it helps enhance your personal life as well. Your professional life as well.
Yeah. And then my wife is also from Macon, Georgia, so we're both.
Oh, okay.
Matter of fact, they're driving home. They're driving down there now to see her parents and my parents. I just think this has all been awesome for me. And here again, I prayed about this, and God, He delivers like He always does.
So, Coach, I want to talk a little bit about your experience as a head coach, right? And just kind of, your time at Stetson. What did that allow you to, add to your bag, so to speak? Because it's a different kind of animal being the guy as opposed to being the assistant coach. Do you have the desire to go back into that? But what things did you learn from being a head coach that have made you a better assistant coach?
Well, first of all, to be a head coach, man, you learn pretty quick to respect those guys that have been doing it as long as they have. It's not easy to be an assistant coach. You got a few things you got to worry about, but as a head coach, everything funnels through you. So when it's an issue over here, it comes back to you, and so you got to be able to manage your program. And then I think the other side of it is you got to know what you want in a basketball program, and you got to recruit to that. When I got the job at Stetson, I was young and eager, and Stetson was a different school, different than any school that I had been a part of. Academically, it was strong. You couldn't get anybody in. They didn't take transfers at the time. You couldn't get junior college kids in at the time. And the majors were extremely hard. And so I think what I've learned from all of that is make sure you pick the right job, a job that fits you.
Right.
Okay. Not every job is going to be perfect. We get that, but it has to be one that is representative of what you've experienced as an assistant coach. If I experience one way, then I go into an academic world, it's going to be totally different. I'm an academic coach, and I've been in Princeton and Harvard, then all of a sudden go to this other, it's going to be totally different. So I think finding the right job, and the other thing is making sure you recruit the right kid, and making sure you Identify how you want to run your program and recruit kids that fits what you're trying to run. But man, to move from that chair next to the head coach to the head coaching chair, oh man, that's when your hair turned really, really great. In my case, you go really, really tall.
Hey, listen, I'm in that same world with you, man. So I
And
understand.
to answer to your last question is, yes, of course. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to come, opportunity again to be a head coach, and I believe I will be. But as of now, I want to stay at Auburn as long as Coach Pearl will have me here.
Awesome.
Coach, let's talk about the roster that you're walking into. So, Coach Pearl, since he's been at Auburn, and particularly over the last 4 or 5 years, Auburn has become a place of one and dones. This is not a problem they had prior to Coach Pearl arriving on the Plains, but it can be a difficult prospect every year losing your best player to the NBA. This year, presumably the best player returns in Janai Broome. And they've added some pieces from the portal to try to bolster shooting. What's your make of the roster as it stands right now, and what do you guys hope to accomplish, improve upon the most with this roster?
I think looking at our roster, very excited. We got some very good young players that are coming in and that we feel like can really produce for us. I think with Janai and Jalen Williams and KD coming back.
A lot of experience.
They give us that experience. Dylan, they give us that punch that we need, and for us, the foundation of the program being in good hands. Now it allows those young guys like Aiden, Cheney from Denver to really come in and be able to play and feel free to play. And so we're excited about that, the roster. I think we're still learning each other. Those veterans understand. Those young guys are coming along. And I think it's a great balance, man. I think we can shoot it better, from what I've been told, than we shot it in the past. And I think guys are just a year older. That makes a big difference too as well. But I like the direction that Coach is taking us towards, and I think the guys have responded very well. I think so far this summer has been a great summer. I've been around a lot of programs. I think he's been able to get a lot done with this team, and this team has been very, very receptive. I think the thing I've been probably impressed is how hard they play and how selfless they are as a team, and how hungry they are to get better. And I think those are important ingredients. It's not oftentimes how much talent you have. It's often it's a lot about the chemistry that they develop, which allows you to be able to win a lot of basketball games. You see it in college basketball all the time. FAU get to the Final Four. St. Peter's doing the stuff that they did this year. So it's about chemistry. And so far, the chemistry that we have with our guys has been really, really good. And Coach has really been teaching. And those guys have been really picking that stuff up really, really well. So excited. I think it's a balance. I think we should be better shooting the basketball wise, shooting the ball better this year. I think defensively we got some athleticism that can be a little bit of a problem and disruptive to teams in the future. And we got size that we can throw the ball to the block and guys can go score, and we can get some rebounds and keep people off the glass, and then we're ready to go. We got quick, fast guards that can get out, like to run, can finish at the rim. So that's exciting too as well.
Coach, you being a point guard yourself, and Coach Pearl is noted as saying he's hard on his point guards. He puts a lot in their hands and really wants them to play well. What have you seen from that point guard position so far since you've been here? And what can Auburn fans expect out of the floor generals that Auburn's going to put out there on the court this year?
Well, number one, those guys are going to be very, 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 very prepared. They are going to be expected to run the basketball team and not necessarily look for a coach to call certain plays, but it's going to be in their hand to make sure we're where we're supposed to be at and we execute in the proper way. And he puts a lot of stress and pressure, positive pressure on those point guards. And I just think that you're gonna see guards who can score it. It gives them the freedom to be able to score, but you're gonna see discipline guards who gets us into our offense and able to slow us down when we need to be slowed down, and we are able to fast break and be very efficient and without opportunities to be able to score in transition. So Coach is hard on them, but he's hard on them for the right reason. If they get it right, then all of a sudden we're going to be a very difficult basketball team to play.
Well, Coach, with the raised expectations on the Plains, we are definitely looking forward to seeing you out there starting this fall, late this fall, and going into the spring. I know fans are looking forward to seeing what you can do with these young men. So thank you in advance for everything that you're going to do to impress upon the young lives of men. It's something that we talk about often on our channel, so we appreciate that. And welcome to the Plains.
But thank you guys so much. I really appreciate this opportunity to be on your show. And this is a blessing too as well. I look forward to meeting you guys in person, and maybe you guys can buy me lunch. As opposed to me buying you lunch, okay?
100%.
That's a deal.
Yeah, we'll take you. We recently, our fans have talked about the best burger spot and the best pizza spot in town. So we can definitely go out to lunch and hip you to the game on where to eat there in Auburn. Guys, that's it for another great edition of Building Rapport with Coach Corey Williams. If you want more content like this, please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Rapport on every single social media platform, TW Rapport on TikTok. Guys, we're signing out. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.